This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Curaleaf, one of the nation's fastest growing multi-state cannabis operators with 45 local dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 11 processing facilities, serving more than 150,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Swing over to curaleaf.com to learn more. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, June 12th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 741 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We start the day off with big news out of Oregon, where yesterday the state house voted 43-16 in favor of a bill that would authorize the governor to set up interstate legal export deals with other legal marijuana states just as soon as federal law allows. The bill will put Oregon in position to capitalize on the fall of marijuana's federal illegal status pretty much from day one. Oregon's legal cannabis industry has been experiencing something of a supply glut, and this bill is being pitched as a way for that overstock to be eventually relieved. And as anyone who's ever met anyone from Oregon involved in the cannabis industry, there's a lot of in-state pride over the cannabis grown there. Not undeservedly, so expect to see a lot of Oregon branded cannabis supplies just as soon as it's possible. Our friend Adam Smith, a longtime regular on our weekly show Marijuana Today, was part of the effort to get this bill passed in his capacity as head of the Craft Cannabis Alliance, and was quoted by the Associated Press as saying, quote, "This is a major statement by the Oregon Legislature that says we understand the future of this industry and Oregon's place in it." Unquote. The bill has already been passed out of the Senate, so it will now go on to Governor Kate Brown, who is expected to sign it. Congratulations to everyone in Oregon who made this one happen. Yesterday was a good day for legal cannabis reform in Washington, D.C., where the House Appropriations Committee passed through legislation that includes an amendment that affords some limited protections to banks working with state legal cannabis businesses. The Appropriations Committee also rejected an amendment that would have barred the city of Washington, D.C. from implementing progressive legalization laws. Washington, D.C. has been under that ban for years now, thanks to its sponsor, corrupt prohibitionist Republican Congressman Andy Harris of Maryland. The provision protecting banks is not the more comprehensive SAFE Act, but rather states simply that funds covered under the appropriations bill cannot be, quote, used to penalize a financial institution solely because the institution provides financial services to an entity that is a manufacturer, a producer, or a person that participates in any business or organized activity that involves handling marijuana, marijuana products, or marijuana proceeds, unquote. Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moments has more on this one. Our final top story today brings us out to New Jersey, where Governor Phil Murphy released some details yesterday for the changes he wants to see made to proposed legislation reforming the state's medical marijuana industry. We've been circling this storyline for the past few weeks or so as a push to legalize adult use stalled out to be replaced by a drive to expand and evolve the current medical marijuana program. Last week, the New Jersey Health Department announced that it was to issue 108 new licenses on top of the 12 already granted. But parallel to that, state lawmakers have been working on a proposed bill putting their own changes on the system. Yesterday, Governor Murphy said he wanted to see 5 changes made to that bill before he'd consider signing it. In particular, Governor Murphy wants to bump up the number of licensed cultivators from 23 to 36, eliminate public consumption lounges, limit delivery to dispensaries only, remove the sales tax on medical cannabis, and to keep the entire program under the control of the Department of Health until 2021, upon which time it would transition to a new Cannabis Regulatory Commission. Another good one to read in full. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Curaleaf, one of the nation's fastest growing multi-state cannabis operators with 45 local dispensaries, 12 cultivation sites, and 11 processing facilities, serving up more than 150,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Swing over to cureleaf.com and find the link for the Veterans Cannabis Project, the leading organization advocating for unrestricted and supported access to medical marijuana by military veteran patients. Cureleaf is helping raise awareness and funds for the Veterans Cannabis Project through in-store displays set up in their many dispensaries. Learn all about that partnership over at cureleaf.com and then more about the Veterans Cannabis Project over at their website at vetscp.org. That's vetscp.org. Big thanks to everyone at Cureleaf for supporting our show, as well as worthy and important causes like the Veterans Cannabis Project. All right, time for the Blitz. The Associated Press is reporting on a phenomenon in legal marijuana states that transition from having medical sales to also allowing adult use, where those states' medical cannabis programs invariably decline in size following adult use legalization. Oregon is a striking example where more than 400 medical shops all but disappeared after adult use sales became possible. While many former registered patients can still find cannabis on the adult use market, those prices can be higher and not every product type is available. That's important for medical users who need reasonably priced, consistent medical products. The AP ran a bunch of numbers to support this one, so not a bad one to read in full. New Mexico is working to rewrite regulations for its commercial medical marijuana industry over how many plants are allowed to be cultivated. An earlier court decision struck down a 450 plant limit, replacing it with a 2,500 plant limit until such a time that regulators work out a new plan. That new proposed plan would set a limit of 1,750 plants for any given cultivator, along with some rules over what is and what is not considered a countable plant. If you do business in New Mexico, you better have a handle on this one. A new poll just released out of New York shows high support for the legalization of adult use marijuana. Around 800 New York residents were asked about their thoughts on proposed legislation legalizing adult use, and around 55% said they were in favor versus just 40% opposed. The state's legislative calendar wraps up on June 19th. Yesterday, during a press conference in Japan, Toshiro Muto, head of the 2020 Tokyo Summer Olympics, reminded the world that Japan is not a friendly place when it comes to marijuana. Mr. Muto told the Associated Press through an interpreter, quote, "There are countries and some regions around the world that have relaxed rules recently. Unfortunately, the use of cannabis constitutes a violation of law, and that needs to be thoroughly communicated," unquote. A medical marijuana grow facility here in Maine just burned down as firefighters from multiple towns were called out to fight a blaze in Elliott's, Maine that ultimately consumed the building. The company Sweet Dirt Inc. grows small batch medical cannabis for the caregiver market, has just over 12 employees, and has been in business since 2014. Colorado-based Dixie Brands is getting into the booming Oklahoma medical marijuana market with a distribution deal with Globus Holdings, which has a manufacturing facility in Tulsa. The deal will see Globus license different cannabis brands from Dixie to be made in that Tulsa facility for sale within the state. Finally, for today, we have a chart of the week from Marijuana Business Daily showing how the Massachusetts adult use sales program is going after 7 months of operations. In short, things have been going pretty well, with sales figures going up every month to their current levels around $34 million. The overall amount of sales made by legal cannabis operators is just under $140 million. There are some useful categorical breakdowns with this one, so I'd recommend adding it to your list of stories to read in full. Those are the headlines of news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato. That's awesome. Thanks to our sponsor, Cureleaf, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes our show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. G'day.
One take, Shay. One take.